the Crow's Nest podcast. Big thank you to all of the. Yep, I knew I was gonna screw it up.
Don't worry
Leave
about
it
it.
in. Leave it in. Keep going.
Yep, leave it in. Totally professional. I'm Jelo. I am the guy responsible for all this. So send all the hate mail my way. With me, I got Demon. He's the guy that is editing and all responsible for all that.
I'm
So,
going to try to
uh,
edit.
mhm. We also got Melon,
Hello, I'm drunk right now. Not really. I'm just here for the.
and finally MK.
Hey guys, what's going on?
All right, so this is our first time doing this, so I'm going to apologize for any issues with the quality, like what I did just in the beginning.
Nah, edit it out in post. We're good. We're good.
You with
You,
Gucci?
you expect
Don't
too
worry
much
about
of your editor here at the moment right now.
it. All right, 3, 2, 1, let's go.
All right.
Well, intro
Okay.
man, awkward silence.
Yep.
First
Pretty fun.
question.
All right, so this time we're just gonna kind of start off slow. So first question is, what got guys into Ruby? Who wants to start off with that?
Um, I guess I will.
Go for it.
All right.
Okay,
All right.
so the first thing I ever saw of Ruby was the Yellow trailer. Like my friend sent it to me one night, and he's like, "Dude, you got to watch this trailer. The fighting is intense." I'm like, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, "What the hell is this?" Because I wasn't too sure about it because like back then I used to hate 3D stuff so much, but
Yes.
I gave it a watch, and I'm like, okay, that was pretty goddamn sweet. Is there more? And he's like, hell yeah, there's more. There's 3 more, in fact. I'm like, what? No, no way. You gotta be kidding me. And there goes my virus protection thing.
All right. Like I said, quality.
I tried. But yeah, the rest is history from there.
Wow. Yellow trailer's an interesting one. Was not expecting that.
I mean, that was my intro too. Is the Ruby fandom was the music from the Yellow trailer, so I can relate to that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You just
I mean,
found the music somewhere and
no. So I was out running, and then my friend sent me his playlist for me to listen to, and I just remember distinctly that I was going up a hill, and I was like sprinting, and then the initial riff came out, and it was downhill from there. So
nice.
definitely Yellow trailer repping right here.
Well, unlike the two of you, I don't have friends, so I had to
Oh
see
my
it. I had to see it through. It was actually probably all of Rooster Teeth's advertising.
Hmm.
Because what happened is I just saw it and saw what it was about, and it's like, oh hey, it's gonna be that fighting that like they had in Red versus Blue, and now there's a whole show about that. I'd be interested in that. I mean, at the time, I would just go back and rewatch those fights over and over from season 8. I still remember just sitting there for the first time and being floored, going from a show where the biggest range of movement was heads bobbing around to what Monty did.
Mhm.
So
Monty.
seeing a whole show about that, it was sign me up.
Monty worked that Monty magic.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
All right, Demon, spill it out. What got you?
Well, do you remember a program called Skype?
Yes.
I know it's
What's
been a,
that?
I know you make fun, but we live in a world now where there are people who legitimately have no clue what that is because it's pretty much dead now.
Pretty much.
But Skype, I was in a friend group on there with another fandom. 2 people there were fans of RWBY, so they ended up, I think it was during Volume 2, maybe the beginning of Volume 3, ended up talking about a very specific scene. Can you guess which scene?
You said between volume 2 and volume 3.
Yeah, maybe the beginning of Volume 3, but definitely around that time, though.
Hmm.
It's a very particular scene that everyone loves from specifically Volume 2.
Volume 2.
Say it was the Nevermore fight.
No, I think that was Volume 1.
That was Volume 1, yeah.
Yeah,
Is it
that could still be.
the Paladin
still-
fight?
That's Volume 3. Specifically Volume 2.
Yeah.
No, I'm
Okay,
pretty
so
sure the Paladin
Paladin
fight
fight.
was Volume 2.
Oh, no, well, yeah, that Paladin, yeah.
Could be burning the candle.
Nope. I'm
Juniper
surprised.
stance.
No.
Huh?
I'm surprised. No one's got it. It has to
Oh.
do with it. You know what? The word starts with F and ends with a D.
Ugh.
You're all
I'm
bad
not
at this.
good with.
Food fight. The food
Oh! I'm.
Oh,
Oh yeah, how did I
That-
miss that?
that took too long.
Fucking food fight. Why did I forget about shit?
fight. You're all terrible.
God damn.
You're all
Yeah.
terrible.
Yes,
Terrible
we are.
RWBY fans.
You're all
We're not
terrible
true
for
RWBY fans. Shut down the podcast. Shut down everything. We're done.
No, we're not.
Shame, shame, shame.
We're not. Keep going.
But yeah, they ended up talking about that particular scene, and I don't remember exactly all what was said, but I do remember giving them a lot of a hard time about it because it sounded ridiculous. It is ridiculous and nonsensical. But at the end of it all, I remember saying, you know what, this sounds like my kind of ridiculous and nonsensical, and so I started watching the show, and here I am ever since.
All right.
That was a good moment.
Mm.
That was a.
You're welcome.
Invincible food. Yep, yep.
And
So
I-
say that the first time that you guys saw RWBY, you just fell in love with it, and the rest is history.
Pretty much like, like after I saw the action in the Yang trailer, like as soon as that sweet sick reload came out, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is for me. I'm ready.
Hell yeah. Yep, exactly that. When they fight with actual boxing techniques and like kicking movements, you know, if it's real applicable martial arts, you can't go wrong. And it was so good. So good.
All right. Well, apparently I'm just the black sheep of this podcast because it honestly took until Volume 2 before I was really sold on it.
It did me as well, to be honest. So
Yeah.
you're not completely alone. Like, it definitely
All
took
right.
me a bit to get into it. Like, the first volume, I think, the thing that kind of kept me interested was the characters were nice. I liked seeing some of the interactions, and the story and the world had me somewhat interested. But once Volume 2
Right.
started to expand on that more, that's
Right,
when I
it's-
was in.
Exactly. It's Volume 1. For all that it did right with the fights, the characterization, the plot was just. It kind of wasn't there, to be honest.
Mhm.
But when Volume 2 came along, you had going out, fighting the White Fang, Torchwick, and all this, and I thought, alright, that's a story I can get behind.
You remember when, like in Volume 1, how short the episodes used to be?
Yeah.
What,
Yeah.
2 minutes? Yeah.
Yeah, those were the dark ages.
Yeah, it's
1
more
week
like
for 2
volume 1
minutes
and
worth of
3.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real.
For all everyone craps on the show, we've certainly come a long way since then.
Speaking of that, let's go into the next topic. What made us stick with it after so long?
For me, it has to be, again, the story, the characters, the world, building on that, getting to see how that's been built and added to, has definitely been a sticking point for me. And I think one other thing I could say, right, is for me, getting to see kind of this company that's never done animation before in a major way, that's never been a production company, getting to see them become a production company and grow in that and learn how to do that through all of their successes and through all of their faults has also been kind of interesting, and also in a way kept me interested in watching RWBY too.
Okay.
I'm weird. What can I
No,
say?
Nah,
Fine.
RWBY is a really interesting show because it is a success story
Mhm.
in a lot of ways. Because, like we just said, they went from 2 minutes to almost half an hour this volume. That's how much they have grown in 6 years.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
being able to do that, they did that on the back of RWBY.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but don't they change their animation program, like the base program itself, in between like volume 3 and 2?
They changed from Poser to Maya.
And that
Three.
was between 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why you see
Ah,
the whole art change.
right.
Uh,
But going on what Demon said and what you were saying, like I think that's pretty rare for a company to do, especially for a prolonged series. To decide to just completely move over to a different style too. So
all right.
that's nice to see.
Well, what happened there is Poser was Monty's preferred form of animation, and he was he was quite the anomaly in that case. So
He-
when he
Monty,
passed, it became easier for everyone else to use
It is
Maya.
still a good point though. Like it's very rare to see a show do that and it not piss everyone off.
Most people.
Most people.
I've seen a few that are still calling to bring back Poser.
I can't see it. Having seen them do Maya
No.
and seen Volume 6 now, I couldn't go back to watching them do this in Poser.
Oh yeah.
Volume 6 just looks too beautiful.
there's a point where we have to evolve and keep
Mhm.
moving. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. Like we would have seen this eventually anyway.
Right.
But
Monty would have gotten used to it, or you would think so.
I
Mhm.
remember the story that Gus told where he he mentioned like he spent forever looking for a computer for him, and eventually he had to suck it up and get a new one.
Hmm.
As for what made me stick with it, at first it was all the action because like I was an action junkie and seeing all the fights, I'm like, yeah, I'm ready for more. Like when Volume 2 came out, I was like, okay, I can sit down and slow down for a bit. And then by the time Volume 3 was in, I'm like, okay, I'm totally invested in all of these characters, not just for how they fight, but for their motivations, what they do, and how they're going to kick butt at the end of the day.
Yep.
Right. And I had something similar. Like I said, I joined for the fighting to see all that, but it was a little rocky at first. But as Volume 2, they started bringing the plot, and then with 3, the big reveal, every big thing coming on the heels of the last one. Mm, I just loved it. The characters, the plot, the story. I just needed to see more.
Uh-oh.
Yep, that's pretty much right. Stay for the action and then see the plot unfold and then get hooked from there. Yep.
Hmm.
Yep. Ooh. Sorry, I'm.
Yawning
That's
on
all
a
right.
podcast. Jesus, unprofessional.
Oh,
Yeah.
Dealing with such
You've
hacks
never
here.
been tired before, Demon. You shut up.
And I never
What's
yawn
next? Eating
on show.
chips. Pull out some of that popcorn and crunch it. There we go.
You better
There
get
you
up
go.
real close to the mic when you do it. If you're going to do it right.
Yeah. Gotta get up close and intimate. Like all them voice actors.
This becomes an ASMR podcast from now on.
All right. Well, I think we're getting a little off track.
Yeah,
So, everyone did what got them to stick with RWBY. So, what are some just favorite moments, favorite things? Um,
Let's do this, right? Let's make you pick 3.
3. Okay.
3
we
of
can
your
do
favorites
that.
and 3 least favorite things you can come up with from the show.
mhm.
Give me a minute.
All right. I think one of my favorite things would be how Yang has developed. I mean, I can understand how people dislike her turning much more somber, but she's really become my favorite character in doing so. Just having this struggle and going through it and having to essentially change a lot of who she is for the better to get through this. And that's just I find that rather inspiring.
That's fair. I'd absolutely agree. That's definitely one to have. Um, I'll go next. For me, I think one of my favorite things is definitely getting to see them expand on the world and see that grow and
Mhm.
see how it's grown. I really enjoy that. Like for me personally, world building is a thing that I personally really get into and really love and enjoy because it allows me to just sink my teeth into something like that way more than usual. And so
Right,
that's definitely one of my favorite things.
right, and now we're getting even more of that with After the Fall,
Mm-hmm.
because that had just so much world building into it. You could really feel the culture to Vacuo.
Yeah.
Still haven't gotten my hands on that, and I definitely need to soon. Looks good.
All right, we
Enough
won't get too
monies.
into that then.
um,
But yeah, definitely worth the read if you want to see more world building stuff.
Yes.
yeah,
Agreed.
it's on the middle. Yeah. I guess playing off on yours, Jello. I thought one of I'll start with a detractor. You know how rude of me, but I thought they could have spent a little bit longer on Yang's development. I know that they have to balance all the characters and things
Right.
like that. But I would have liked it if she got her arm later in the series.
Yes.
That
I
would have been
can't
such a better development, I think.
I can't tell you how upset I was seeing the first time that Yang was in an episode. There was the arm. I was thinking, all throughout the hiatus, people were like, "Oh, Yang's gonna get an arm. She's gonna get an arm. It's gonna be great." And I'm just thinking, that's not that's not how that should quite develop. So part of that, I was a little happy when she didn't just slap it back on, it was back to normal. But I do agree they could have stretched out a little bit more and explored it.
Yeah, it was a little bit harder in that season because everyone was so separated and they had to spend time equally with everyone. But yeah, it would have been nice to
Equally.
see. Well, you know.
Uh,
Right.
Working off of that point, I didn't like. I was like, I'm not gonna lie. I was like, I love the characters, I love the story, but I did kind of get tired of like the pacing in Volume 4 because it felt like I was like, all right, are we gonna get moving in this direction? Oh, we're moving in this direction. That's nice, but can we, you know, it was
Yeah.
kind of, I understand that everybody was separated, and I feel like that kind of hurt the pacing a little, not a lot, but just enough where you're just like, I'm wondering what the other person is doing now. You know what I mean?
I do. With this separation, I think it was a very cool, a very ambitious idea, but they just were unable to make it work out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, I think that's like a general consensus and about the season 4. A little bit slow.
It's neat to see them experiment with the idea, and I'm glad they did it. At least tried, anyways. But yeah, definitely didn't. I think worked out as well as they would have hoped it would have.
Mhm. Yeah, I think it would have worked if Ruby was a book, for example, because that way you can
Mm-hmm.
just read through it at your own pace, get everyone you want, and everything's in there. But with the show, the times, the budget, it just didn't work.
Yeah, they kind of had to squeeze where they could, trying to make the most out of it. So,
Yeah.
so a lot of people say that Volume 5, like, kind of re-railed everything. I'm guessing because that's because everybody was finally starting to come back together.
Hmm.
Would you agree or no?
It's an interesting theory of the of Miles and Carrie kind of changing things around to quickly get everyone back together. But I'm not quite sure if that would be true because I'm not sure what all you would do with each of the characters continually apart, aside from Blake. Because Team Ranger, they're in Mistral, they're there. Weiss, she left. I'm not quite sure what you'd want to develop on her journey exactly. Yang, she's got her thing all ready to go. So yeah.
One thing would be right how I could see it happening is Yang doesn't leave as soon as she does. She doesn't get the arm as soon as she does. You spend more time on that and take more time with her arc of, accepting and coming to terms with the fact that she's not invincible, that she is, someone who can be hurt, and that coming to terms with losing her arm and stuff of that nature. and the PTSD and all of that, right? And then you switch to Weiss before she leaves, spending more time at home and kind of figuring out she hates it there, I guess. I don't
I'd
know.
say she kind of got that figured out.
I hate my home life.
She figures it out even more so, right? Now we know for certain that she hates it there. Before it was a little up in the air. Maybe she did like it. Who knew? Now we definitely know. Weiss is definitely, I think, the kind of the odd one out. Team Ranger, you can kind of their adventure going to Mistral, you can focus a bit more on that and seeing them kind of grow stronger and learn more. Like that's what you could do with that. And then Blake, obviously, seeing her come to terms with how she wants to fight for Faunus equality and how she wants to, coming to terms with where she stands on the fight for Faunus equality and how she wants to fight for it going forward, right? You could spend a bit more time with that. Weiss is definitely the odd one out, I would say. Like, what could exactly you do with her? Maybe put her through, like, hey, rich girl has to learn to live not being a rich girl for a bit because she ran from home, I guess. I don't know. I'm not
I
a
think
writer.
it comes down. I think it comes down to the next season when they go to Atlas, because if they go more political intrigue route, they could have sown the seeds in the earlier season. But it really depends what they decide to do going forward.
Yeah.
They also could have done maybe something Faunus related there. That'd really help that plot.
Yeah, that would have been nice to see.
Well, awkward silence, so
Dun dun dun.
we
I don't know if
kind of
I-
leave it a bit. Is
I
there
was allowed to
anything...
say-
Oh, do what, Melon?
No, I said I was about to say I wasn't sure if I was allowed to say anything yet.
Oh,
but
go ahead.
don't worry.
Interrupt people. That's what we do on a podcast. We interrupt each
Yeah.
other. That's professionalism.
Interrupt each other
Shut up, Demon.
with I don't know, whatever. What I was going to say was one of my favorite things to look at is all the lore and how Remnant came to be. Because you're just always because I'm thinking in my mind, I'm thinking like, I always look at theories like, how the remnant continents are made up of dragons, and I'm like, personally, I'm a fan of that because, like, I'm always a fan of like myths and gods and myths, like, like gods you had turned themselves into some part of the land or water or something like that.
Yeah, I love that kind of stuff.
But what I especially find funny was that Monty designed the entire planet on a napkin with ketchup.
Oh yeah.
Did you guys know that?
Yeah.
So the Dragon Island was completely coincidental.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, they did a little bit of editing.
A little bit.
I think it's better to think that they didn't and they just took it wholesale.
Which kind of brings me to my next point of like how, like in earlier parts, how kind of off the cuff that Monty and his crew would make things. And sometimes you'd be like, I'm not sure about this, but other times they'd be like, oh yeah, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I mean, people loved Neo,
Yeah. Yep.
and her and Roman are the epitome of that off-the-cuff style of making RWBY. I mean, for the people that don't know, Roman was initially made to be a one-off character and just be RWBY's ticket into Beacon, practically a punching bag. But with his charisma and everything, they kept him for 3 seasons.
Thank God, because I liked him.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I
I
think
mean,
he gets a
honestly,
little bit more credit than deserved, but I do very much enjoy him.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he's one of the most compelling villains, to be honest.
I think he's the most fun, maybe not the most compelling, because he has very little development to himself, right?
Well, considering that before we got to see anything, like really see anything from him, he got eaten up by a griffin. So the only way we're going to see that is from anything from Neo going forward.
And that could be definitely interesting to see.
I think in some ways he might be more relatable too, right? Because you do have this idea of him just kind of wanting to get paid and not die.
At the end of the day, he's in a world where there are giant darkness, depression creatures trying to kill you and eat you, and he's just trying to survive. Might as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And make a paycheck.
And yeah, that's a bonus.
So, MK touched on it a bit, but does anyone else have any least favorite things about RWBY?
Ooh,
Least favorite things.
that was a thing that I did not prepare.
Okay, like when you say like least favorites, like least favorite like in terms of meta or like least characters or
I- anything really? I guess you could go with. Like, is there anything
Yeah.
particular that really stands out? Like, is there a least favorite character? Is there a least favorite story element that you have, or a least favorite episode?
for least favorite character, I'm kind of divided between Adam and Whitley in terms of personality as opposed to how they were written.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that's fair.
Mhm.
I definitely think they could have. I definitely think Adam's arc could have been handled better, for sure. I'm not sure how better, because honestly, I'm missing a little headache. So I'll post my thoughts about that later. But yeah, in terms of personality, those two are tied for me. Oh, and Jock. Jock, I completely
Oh,
forgot
yeah.
that douche.
On excuse me. Whitley, personally, I'm kind of waiting to see where they go with him. I could definitely think he would be interested. I know it's quite the buzzword, but I think he has the potential to be pretty interesting.
Who, Whitley or Jock?
Whitley more so. I mean, Jocks you can do a number of different things with, but yeah.
Mm,
I guess my least favorite thing, I think, if I would pick from the show, like from not characters, I'm definitely not as fond of how they've done the faunus equality and faunus racism subplot they've had going on.
Right.
Mm.
I feel like, if there's one complaint I would level at this show overall, it's that was introduced and they've really kind of left it hanging. I've been one to defend it in the past, and I still will, right, by saying, like, hey, our main character attached to that is Blake, right? She's the only one attached to that, and most of her arc thus far has been figuring out, how she wants to even deal with faunus equality and how she even wants to fight for it, because she had her father's way, which she abandoned for obvious reasons that she was very clear about, and then she had Adam and Sienna's way, which she also abandoned for obvious reasons, which is very clear. And when she abandons both, it's very much a term of, like, she's disillusioned, she has no clue what she wants to do anymore, and she's kind of just trying to get away from everything and figure that out. And seeing now, like by volume 6, I think we've definitely seen her figure this out. So I'm very curious to hopefully see them do more with it in the future, especially going to Atlas.
Oh yeah, Atlas has a lot of promise to it.
But as it stands in the past, right, I was a bit disappointed with it, and I would have liked to have seen a bit more with it, at the very least. So that's probably the thing that I would say is my least favorite part of RWBY.
Hmm.
That's fair.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, go ahead.
Nope, I was gonna go on something new now, so if we still have something here, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, pretty much all the locations we visit to, yeah, you don't really see the discrimination as much as they imply that it's going on in the show. So yeah.
Which is
Right.
maybe again, this might be due to time constraints and stuff like that. It was really interesting. Small spoiler for After the Fall, but it's not anything major. But it was really interesting to learn that apparently Mistral is the place that's worst for faunus.
Did
Huh.
they say worst or just
But-
bad?
Velvet was very adamant about not going there because it's not good for faunus. I don't know if it's the worst, but apparently she was more willing to go to Atlas Academy than to Haven Academy.
That says a lot, really.
Yeah, which was weird, I felt.
And that's really gotta make you wonder how Sun is so seemingly oblivious then.
I mean, it's Sun. He probably
I
doesn't
wouldn't
give a shit
consider
even
him
at the worst of
oblivious.
times.
Right.
I wouldn't consider him oblivious. He's just trying to not. He's just trying to look at the world differently, I guess.
Or he just doesn't care.
Yeah,
I
RWBY doesn't
suppose,
care.
but because he was the kind of an audience surrogate for Blake to throw exposition at for multiple times during the what we got the funnest plot line, I can't help but kind of call that into question.
Mm. That's fair.
Ooh. All right, Jello. What else you got?
I think one of the things that I dislike the most about Ruby, especially currently, is just how Oscar has
Mm.
been kind of handled. I mean, he can be an interesting character. He has again a lot of potential, but a lot of his decisions just seem to happen off screen. Because at first he's, oh, there's this guy in my head telling me to do all this stuff, and etc. etc. And at some point he just goes. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, one scene he's kind of breaking down about all this, and the next he's going.
This man told me to do this thing. I don't.
The voices in my head told me to go. I have to.
That's basically it. Like, at first when I looked when I saw Oscar, I'm like, oh god, is this gonna be an Avatar kind of situation where he has to speak to all of them?
Oh boy.
Cause you see Oscar and Ozpin talking in his head, you're like, there has to be more to this than just Ozpin.
Mm-hmm.
You just know.
Right.
Yeah, I guess my greatest complaint with that character specifically is just his capabilities. I mean, when you see him, he's a farm boy. He's not supposed to be an adept fighter, but then you see him fighting with one of the stronger characters we see in the show. I don't know.
Well, to be fair, that was Ozpin at the reins.
Not for all of it, but I mean, like they did kind of give the idea that hey, as Ozpin and Oscar melded question mark more, they would his experience would transfer to him. Don't know how that works. Reasons it works.
It's
Yeah.
magic.
There you go, magic.
Just works.
Magic. You don't need no explanation.
Yeah, because then you get into. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say you get into like the definition or like the what makes people physically adept in this world, right? Because if you need to train for it, even if you have muscle memory, you need to have the physical capabilities, right? And I think aura's similar, where you need to train it like a muscle to get strong aura. So it leaves questions up there.
Everyone
Well,
in this
you
world
got
is just
two
born with a
auras,
six pack.
kinda, sorta, in there. Maybe.
For a time at least, anyways, depending on how you look at the whole Oz and Oscar thing and the
I'm
melding of souls.
I'm kind of looking at it like an Avatar kind of situation. Like, is as time goes on, each life gets stronger, but it's the opposite here, where he actually gets weaker.
Hmm.
Because Ozpin did mention he was losing his power as time went on.
Right.
I'm pretty sure.
He has.
Yeah, that's a nice way to take it.
Yeah, it's an interesting way to look at it.
It's a simple way of, like, everything I look at is very simple, so I don't get a headache thinking about it. I'm simple-minded.
That's completely fair.
All right. Do we want to do just one more time around with what everyone likes?
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Well, sticking with kind of the spin deal, what I really liked, especially from them, is the Lost Fable. I very much enjoyed that episode.
Mm.
What happened in that episode? Refresh my memory.
That is the episode where Jin tells everyone about Ozpin and Salem's past and the past of the world.
Ooh.
Right. What I really liked about it is that there's a lot of this who's right, who's wrong from these kind of perspectives. No one is completely malicious to start out with. I know that's kind of a thing that not everyone will agree with. Everyone thinks the gods are dicks, but I see them as kind of the Greek gods, being okay. Yeah, they're dicks, but they aren't truly malicious.
No, they are, yeah, they are kind of dicks. They're just like, okay, we'll give you this chance. Oh, you fucked it up. Well, too bad.
Mhm. Right. I think they're just kind of disconnected from their own creation and they don't really understand it. So when they try to punish Salem to get her to learn, they really don't know what they're doing.
Well, I mean, they're gods, right? So to the people they're dealing justice to or whatever, you're pretty much ants to them. So it does make sense in a case like that if you think about it.
Right.
Next
Right,
up,
well,
who wants to go next?
I'm still thinking. Sorry, give me a minute.
I'll
how
go.
about you, Demon?
All right, I'll go with something very simple, very quick and easy. I really enjoy seeing some of the scenes in this show, and like
Oh,
some of the background stuff, right? Like the word that I'm looking for has gone away. The not background animation, but the just background scenes, like the just backdrops, I guess you'd say, like that scene of Atlas we got, where it's beautiful looking, right? Or that scene of Argus, where they crest the hill and everyone's looking at Argus in the sunset. That is a beautiful scene, and I really love how the show's done that. From Volume 6 and going back to Volumes 4 and 5, getting to see some of the scenes of Weiss and the pilot flying through that lake with all the floating islands. Like, they've come up with some genuinely what I feel are beautiful and interesting scenes to just see.
oh,
For
that's an
static shots
interesting
and
one.
stuff. Like, I really do love that personally, and I hope to see more of that in the future as well. Of just really interesting places that they've been able to come up with and things like that.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, the backgrounds and the design of just every location.
I
Yeah, I mean,
especially love the way they play with all the colors too.
yeah,
Like one example is like the black trailer. Man, like
oh
the
yeah,
red was just all over and it worked
Mm.
beautifully.
yeah. I think some of the places that I really like are the vaults, both Beacon and Mistral,
Mm.
Ospin's office. Yeah, those.
No, that's fair. Those are also really good places too. Like to see like static shots of, or just kind of static moving shots of. Like they're just really inherently beautiful in their own way, I feel.
Oh,
All
and of
those
course there's,
figures.
of course, Evernight.
Mm.
Huh?
Salem's castle area.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, okay, got it.
Oh yeah. What?
Sorry.
What place is that? I don't see
Y'all
it
are
on
too
my
experts for
GPS.
me.
I don't see it on my GPS.
You won't find it on GPS.
Uh,
If you do, I feel sorry for you.
oh god.
Turn around and run. Come back the other way.
I can't leave. But
I guess if another thing I really liked about the show particularly is just the way they handled the tone change, I guess, from volume 3, right? Um, everything was pretty happy-go-lucky. I know that they were intensifying, the drama and the angst and the bad stuff happening throughout building up to it, but just the way they handled, like, it's all over, Beacon's collapsed, and now this is the real world,
Mm-hmm.
it felt like let me think. I think it's Final Fantasy, right? Where you're like in one area and then yeah, the big dramatic thing happens and then you see the whole rest of the world, right? You know, I can't complain.
Yeah, that was really cool. The way that they just flipped everything on its head.
yeah, that everything that started happening after the Yang and Mercury fight that just tore my heart.
Yeah, it was, and just how quick it was. Like I said earlier, it's just one thing on top of another. You got Yang, then you got Maidens, then you got Penny, then everything just goes to
You got
crap.
you
Then
go-
a dragon.
And you got Pyrrha, and then you're just like, stop, slow down, please.
No, go faster.
Rip your heart out. Let's keep going.
Don't need it anyways.
You're last, Melon.
Yep.
Sorry, I had to make my mic. The music, basically.
Ah. Oh
Yep.
yeah.
I know of at least one person who would
I
get mad
don't
if we
know-
didn't mention it.
Oh yeah.
Like
Good catch,
one,
Melon.
one very big part of RWBY's identity, if anything, is the music.
Mhm.
Okay, I don't know, like, how long was Jeff composing for Rooster Teeth by then, when they started?
I think he did. I think he at least did season 8 of Red versus Blue.
Yeah,
I
I know
believe.
that. So, but if there is anything that I have to that cannot be understated about RWBY's quality, it's the music. The like sometimes if the animation lags or if the drama lags a bit, it's the music that picks it right back up.
Right.
Like every time. So for me, my favorite song would be part 2 of Red Like Roses.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just because like that was just such a banging track to listen to. So what are your favorite songs, I guess?
Oh, we're getting into
Well,
favorite
mine
songs
is
now.
obviously Armed and Ready, the acoustic version.
Nice.
For me, it's got to be Caffeine, I think is the name of the title, because that's the best running song ever.
Caffeine.
Hell yeah, man. Sprint up that hill. Let's go.
Oh my god.
Oh, I need to remember. I think it was for me. I really enjoyed. I think it was the intro to Volume 5, if I'm not mistaken.
Brain, please, you should know this.
Was it
Triumph, the
Yes.
Triumph.
The Triumph. Yeah, I really liked that one. I think that's probably the one that sticks out in my mind the most.
Alright, and to give a less of a meme answer, I'd say my favorite is actually the Volume 4 intro with Let's Just Live.
That's another one.
I love that one.
Yeah,
No.
I'll go out and say it, right? Even
Alright.
Neon's song I actually really enjoyed too. That's definitely probably a good runner-up.
Oh my
It's good. It's good.
Like for
yeah.
a meme character and for a one-off character, it's still a really good and enjoyable and fun song.
Yep.
I'll
It's not my
admit to
favorite,
liking it.
yeah.
But not just talking about music, we can't just mention Jeff, right? We do have to mention like there's a ton of good little stuff, background cues and music and all sorts of things that I'm not anywhere near qualified enough to talk about going on in the show as well. Like you have some great little remixes that happen in the show for different scenes that are just expertly done and just sound amazing, right?
Yep.
Right. Shout out to Helena that advised a little on Volume 6's score and such.
And again, like,
Yeah.
I don't know everyone who works on all the soundtrack for the show, but shout out to them as well. Like they do an amazing
Right.
job, and they absolutely bring a lot of these scenes to life. Like Salem's theme is probably one that I love from the show, absolutely the most. Like they've made her theme sound so creepy, so enjoyable to listen to. Like this sets the tone for her character, hands down.
Yep.
So absolutely great work on all their parts.
Oh yeah.
I think MK there was a car went off on his end, so he had to mute himself.
All right.
Yep. Exactly. Right by my ear. Great.
You okay?
Wonderful.
Yeah. Nah, I'm fine. But cut it out. Cut it out in post.
Again, you really overestimate your editor here.
No, just have confidence.
Just
I
replace it with cat noises.
There we go.
Or-
I'm sorry.
That's the end of the podcast alarm. Time to end the show. Woo!
We did it.
All right, yeah, we have
Relevance.
been going for 45 minutes, and we were shooting for 30. So
Not bad. Not
yeah,
bad.
You're
is
always
there
going to
anything?
overshoot.
Yeah,
Be
is
prepared to
there
overshoot.
anything? Yeah, anything anyone else wants to add to the end of this?
I hope we were good guinea pigs for the first episode. See plenty more.
Yeah, I had fun with this. So
Oh yeah,
I'd definitely be up to doing more of it.
yeah. Just just loosen up a little bit. It's okay to be a little drunk.
Eh. Oh, don't worry. I had beer. I wasn't lying about that.
Oh,
Well, I mean, if you look at the chat too, I think there's lots of people that would want to jump in. So I think we have a community that would
Right.
want to do way more.
oh, trust me. Yeah, there's plenty of folks who want to jump in. Plenty.
And if you, the listener, want to join in, all you have to do is fill out the easy form that we have in announcements.
Check us out on the Crow's Nest Discord.
And remember, kids, hard stuff in the evening, gin in the morning.
All right, cut that there.
The end. Good
With
job.
all of that said, we should at least say, I've been Wolf. Outro
Oh.
yourselves, people. Unless you've already ended, and I need to end now.
No,
So outro
Nope,
yourselves.
such professionalism.
I had fun with it.
All right, anyways, I'm Jelo. Goodbye.
This is MK Spotlights. See you guys next time.
And this is Melon, signing off.
There you go. And I've been Wolf. Bleh. Well, I ruined it. I'm professional too. I've been Wolf. See you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.
The end.
Everyone cut there. I'm cutting.